efficiency. Right. Good evening and welcome. Well, it's evening where I am. It's actually midnight on the dot, as I see. We're going to turn... Oh, ringer is off. Right. This is actually, this is what we would call practically a concurrent reading. I just finished episode 3 moments ago. Well, like 30 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago. And now I'm going to read chapter 4. So welcome to... So that's one thing about this story, especially in certain sections. It's not always like this. Sometimes chapters do skip time and then tell an intervening flashback. But right now we're kind of piecing everything together. So this picks up exactly where the last chapter left off. And that was... that's literally the first word of the chapter. All caps, boom. So, as you may remember, if you were with us, Harry and the Dursleys were in a cabin, a shack maybe is a better word, on an island, kind of a rock island, in the middle of a storm in the ocean. Yes. So. So the second knock, obviously, Harry was already awake, so he's like bolt upright, and then Dudley sits up and jerks awake, and where's the cannon? And then Vernon comes out, and he's got a rifle. So big shocker. That's what in the long slim package that he wouldn't answer questions about was. And he yells that he's armed, and then smash. The door comes down, and what is described as a giant of a man, who we met in chapter 1, is Hagrid, is standing in the doorway. But of course, now that we're our omniscient over-the-shoulder POV is now over Harry's shoulder, we're kind of in a different place, so obviously he has no idea who Hagrid is, and so even though we do, we have to see things with Harry's eyes now. So he's described as a giant of a man standing in the doorway, because to Harry, he really is a giant of a man, for certain. Especially as a newly minted 11-year-old. What else we got for this physical description of Hagrid? Face almost hidden with a long shaggy mane of hair, wild tangled beard, but he had the glinting beetle black eyes. Hagrid. So he squeezes his way in. He barely clears the ceiling with his head. Picks up the door and somehow just sort of fits it back into the frame. How do you knock a door off the hinges and just make it sit back in the frame? How do you do that? Does that even... That can't actually be a thing. Maybe if there's a door jammer on the edge, then I could lean against it, kind of, and it would sort of be propped in place. Deep meaning. And so then Hagrid just does this thing where he basically just sort of comes in and acts like, not so much that he owns the place like in a cocky or a conceited manner. He just sort of makes himself at home, like no big deal. And it's kind of great because in a way that's Hagrid's personality, but I also kind of think that he's just totally, absolutely like fucking with the Dursleys, like on some like... I'm just going to pretend like you're not even there because that's how insignificant you are to me with your gun. Even though that might be problematic for Hagrid, although he does have giant blood, so maybe his skin's stronger. But still, shotgun, a rifle, not good. But, yeah. Until, of course, Hagrid can touch it, then, well, yeah, we'll get there. So he just walks right over to the sofa where Dudley is and just, like, gets him to move over. And, of course, Dudley, like, freaks out and runs to go hide behind his parents because, at the end of the day, Dudley's a baby for all intents and purposes. Which, by the way, not intensive purposes, intents and purposes. Just, all right. Glad we had that discussion. And Hagrid, again, and I guess that's part of it, too. He has seen Harry, but, of course, Harry was a baby, and that's what he says. He's like, last time I saw you, you was only a baby. Oh, that was all right. I was afraid my Hagrid was going to sound horrible. And I'm not saying that was good. I'm not saying it was good. I'm just saying it wasn't as bad as when I tried it earlier without the microphone. And of course, Verdon's like still standing there with his gun, and he's like, "I demand that you leave, sir, at once," and all that kind of good shit. And again, Hagrid's attitude's just like, "Yeah, shut your freaking pie hole there." And and then I forgot how casual it is in the books because, the movie imagery does have a tendency to creep in on your mind sometimes. He doesn't walk up to Dursley. He actually just reaches back over the couch and just snags the gun out of his hand. Like, just as nonchalant as possible, and then just bent it into a knot and then threw it in the corner. Like, one of the things I love about her writing that the movies just weren't able to always convey is just how I don't know, she does certain things to really make her points about how the characters really are, and that's kind of one of them. But anyway, and so again, Hagrid just like readdresses Harry as though the Dursleys are not there, like completely pissed and terrified at the same time. Wishes him a happy birthday. Starts rummaging through his giant jacket with like 8 million pockets in it to try and find this little cake that he's got for him, which he does eventually find. Which it's chocolate, and I'm like, man, if I was Harry, I would be really fucking happy to get a chocolate cake for my 11th birthday from a giant. Yes. Score. A little jealous right now of Harry. I'm just saying. Fuck, man. I mean, even after all the shit up to this moment. And then Harry's like, hey, bro, who are you? Where, who? Bruh. And Hagrid's like, yeah, true. I ain't even said nothing about none of that. So then he just gives him his title. Here's my name. I'm Rubrius Hagrid. I'm the keeper of keys and grounds at Hogwarts. Again, assuming everything is all good. And so he's like, how about some tea? Tea? We do that. This is England. Can we make some tea? How about that? And he makes a reference to being cool with a little something stronger if that's available. Of course, if you take any moment to look at the surroundings, nothing else is available. Anyway, and then Hagrid does a little little skullduggery there. He blocks the because he's giant. He blocks the fireplace and whips out his little umbrella and does a little switchery-doo, diggity-ding-ding thing, and then fire! And in that room, fire has to be probably the best thing ever. So it's cold, because it's still in the middle of the night and it's storming. Like, it's not dawn yet or anything. It's probably like, from the way that I envision it. Well, no, yeah, it was just midnight. Duh, his birthday just fucking happened. I don't have to envision it any kind of way. The information is in the book. So yeah, it's literally the middle of the night. It's still cold as fuck and damp, and so Hagrid finally gets some fire going with some technically not legal, although it should be because Hagrid should have been exonerated. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. WTF, Dumbledore. Anyway, so things warm up. Harry feels good. It's his birthday, and he's not freezing anymore. And a giant gave him chocolate cake. Things are decidedly looking up. Again, Hagrid's just like do, and he just put and because he's got this giant jacket on his giant body with a million freaking pockets in it, he just starts pulling out everything he needs to whip up some tea, to make up some sausages. He's got the mugs. He's got something to drink. He's got, I mean, by something to drink, I mean something that's not tea, an adult beverage, if you will. And somehow he's also like a great cook, so he pulls the sausages off at the perfect moment so that they're just right. And even Dudley's like, damn, I'm really scared with him. He got sausages, man. He got them sausages. And that's when Harry's like, still didn't really catch that part about who you are again. Like, maybe a little more than just a name and a title. Like, something that explains who the fuck you are. Like, please, can I get some context, B? Please. That's what he says. I have the extended manuscript, and that's what the original line was before they, scribbled it out and rewrote it. And so Hagrid repeats his title, and then he said, after the word Hogwarts, he says, "You'll know all about Hogwarts, of course." And that's when Harry is like, see, on that point, let me start by saying no. And and Harry, being Harry, is like, sorry. And Hagrid's like, sorry. And so this is where we get to a bunch of fun little back and forth where where Harry says something and Hagrid repeats it like in all caps. Hagrid's like, wait a minute, I smell a rat. I know you weren't getting your letters, but not knowing about Hogwarts, that we have crossed a fucking line, Dursley. And not cool, bro. Not cool. And Hagrid says, "Didn't you ever wonder where your parents learned it all?" And Harry says, "All what? All what?" And then, "You mean to tell me he knows nothing about anything?" Harry's like, "Wait a minute, bro. Like, I do know some things. Like, don't pigeonhole me, dude. Like, I know some. I can like read. I learned math and shit. Like, I know some things." And Hagrid's like, no. I'm not talking about basic knowledge. I'm talking about like where you belong, where you're from, where you came from, where your parents from, where your whole family from." And that's when he's like, "What world?" Hagrid has another. There's a lot of yelling in all caps in this episode. It's no joke. Hagrid's pissed. Dursley's, I'm calling him Dursley now. Vernon is pissed. It's like the Battle of Harry right now. Point 1.0. So yeah, Hagrid's just like, How? What? No. And of course, the irony of this is that in my mind, there's no doubt that Dumbledore knew this, but knew that Harry didn't know anything. I mean to say, because he's Dumbledore and like Littlefinger ain't got shit on Dumbledore. Okay. Anyway, let's see. And so after Hagrid booms Dursley really loudly, I'm not gonna yell every line that they yell, not right now anyway. Vernon shuts up again for a second, and that's when Hagrid's like, "You must know about your mom and your dad. They're famous. You're famous." And Harry's like, "My mom and dad weren't famous. Were they?" And Hagrid's again like, this isn't when Hagrid signed up to bring Harry his letter, he just thought he was bringing Harry his letter. And that like Harry would kind of already know what the letter was and where it was from and what it was about. And he just showed up and Harry don't know shit. Nada. Car crash. Oh wait, have we gotten to the car crash part yet? I don't think so. No. There's another yell coming up somewhere. Yeah, Hagrid's stammering, and he's like, "You don't know what you are." and Vernon regrouped over there in the corner, and he tries to stop him again, and forbidding Hagrid from doing something is like kind of one of the dumbest things you could possibly ever attempt to do, unless you're Dumbledore, because then he listens. But so yeah, Dumbledore's pissed. He's like, "You never told him. You never told him about the letter Dumbledore left." He's like, "I was there." And Harry's like, "What have they kept from me?" And Vernon's like, it's like cable news right now, like two people like on opposing sides, like yelling their heads off, trying to like stop the audience from hearing like what the other one's got to say. And Harry's the audience right now. So yeah, Vernon yells, and then but Hagrid will not be he will not be dissuaded at this point. He came for a reason, and he is he's nothing if not dedicated and persistent when need be. I mean, like really persistent if you think about what he does way later on. But anyway, I mean like super fucking persistent. Whew. Anyway, this ain't shit. And so that's when Hagrid's like, "Harry, you're a wizard." Just like, fuck, man. Like, I can't believe nobody's told you this. You're 11 years old today, right now, and you're a wizard. Happy freaking birthday there, son. And so Harry's like, I'm a what? 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 A wizard, of course. So yeah, Hagrid's like, oh man, how am I gonna get all this information? But this is definitely there's some Hagrid-splaining going on. Maybe you could call it Hagrid-sposition, because it is now left to Hagrid to break down like the basics of just what the wizarding world is, the situation with his parents, the thing about Voldemort, like all that shit. And so anyway, he's like, yeah, you're a wizard, and you'll probably be a really good one, and just like your mom and your dad, and like mommy and daddy. And he's like, it's about time you got this damn letter. We've gone to exhaustive efforts, and here's your letter. So he gets to open that up, and we see that it's from Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. We see Dumbledore's name. We see all the titles for Dumbledore, and there are many. Blah blah blah. Start of term. Signed by McGonagall. So we have names of people, characters we've already met. So nothing too confusing here. And Harry's like, whoa, 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 whoa. That's Harry's brain right now. He's like, they await my owl? What the fuck? And that's when Hagrid realized that the inside of these mini pockets, what's in its pockets is, in these mini pockets, there's also an owl. So he pulls one of those out, scribbles out a letter to Dumbledore right quick. Hey, got Harry's letter finally. Weather's shit. Peace, Hagrid. And it's interesting because in a way, like, owls almost seem like a better than well, I don't know. I guess ravens are more efficient. I just like owls. They're cooler looking in a way. Ravens are like darker, cool look. Ravens are goth birds, you know. Owls are like, off for the journey then. See you in a bit. Right. So yeah, Hagrid's got the letter out of the way, and he's like, and that's when Vernon gets back into the conversation again and says he's not going, and like Hagrid's like, I'd like to see you stop him, and and we get the term Muggle again, and Hagrid explains that it's non-magic people, and yeah, filthy no-mag. And then when Vernon's saying, you know, that we swore when we took him in, we'd put a stop to that rubbish, blah, 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 blah. Harry's like, wait a minute. Hold the goddamn phone. Y'all knew about this shit this whole time. He's just now catching up because it's like, A, he's 11, and B, this is a lot to absorb. So he's just now like 1 and 1 are just now starting to almost equal 2. They might like be 1.8 right now, but he's like, you knew. And that's when Petunia speaks up, and we get a glimpse into like how she feels about her sister and about that school, italicized for emphasis. Yeah, and so we get a look into like, you know, and then she calls her a freak because that's the way that Lily deals with her rejection from that world and her resentment, because that's really what it is. She's still pissed. She's still hurt. By the way, that's another theme in this thing, is that a lot of people grow to be adults and still act like children or teenagers or whatever. Like they still carry resentments. They still then they still act irrationally as a result of those resentments. We see that with Snape. We see that with Sirius, especially those two. And then we see Lupin not being that way. So we get examples that not everybody's like that, but we see it here too with Petunia talking about Lily. So anyway, oh yeah, and that's another thing. Like the Lily and Petunia's parents were apparently proud of their witch daughter, so that made Petunia even more pissed because she was apparently not necessarily looked down upon, but probably neglected some in favor of Lily at home too. So the resentment ran deep, and clearly still does. I mean, and you see this in the real world. It's not like that's uncommon that sibling problems persist into adulthood. So yeah. And then she mentions Potter. Like she Petunia, when she goes off on a rant like this, she doesn't really check what she's saying anymore. Like she just is saying shit. And yeah. just as strange, just as abnormal. And then she says it. She said she went and got herself blown up. And Harry's like, wait a minute. Well, y'all done dropped too many goddamn bombs on me today, bro. What the hell? What do you mean blown up? You said she died in a car crash. And on cue, Hagrid, car crash? But yeah, he's like, that's what? Yeah, a lot of shock and outrage in this chapter. Lots. And Hagrid's like, every kid in our world knows his name, and Harry's like, why? What happened? Like, and that's one of the beautiful things about Hagrid. He gets pissed at the people who are shit, but then like as soon as Harry speaks up, he softens again completely. He is the definition of the big teddy bear, but the big teddy bear that could also like kill your enemies if it came down to it. Like Hagrid's, I mean, useful, fucking useful. But yeah, and that's when Hagrid's like, nobody prepared me for this. I just was on letter delivery duty. Like, this is above my pay grade, mate. Oh, damn it, I said mate. My bad, Swift. My bad. I'm not even trying to, like, we pay homage, but I don't seek to fully emulate. Like, you feel me? I'm trying to be me, too. Also, that was TOO. Right, continue. And yeah, he's like, I'm not the person to really be telling you all this shit, but you gotta know. Like, you can't just go to Hogwarts and not know who you even are. Like, it's gonna be hard enough for you anyway. Boot, doop, doop, doop. And so he's like, all right, I don't know everything, but... And Hagrid's one of those people who cannot say Voldemort. Like, it's virtually impossible for him to, like, pass the word over his lips. And Harry's like, can you write it down? And Hagrid's like, I can't spell it. And he finally does. He finally blurts it out after some comedic back and forth with some galloping gargoyles and the whole nine. Nah, I can't spell it. So he does say it. He's like, no, don't make me say it again. That's one time that's like my 5-year limit on Voldemort saying, fuck. So yeah, he explains that he's like one of the darkest wizards, blah, 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 blah. 20 years ago, got him a lot of followers, got some power. Dark days, Harry. Didn't know who to trust. He talks about just James and Lily, Harry's parents a little bit. Homecoming king and queen, at the homecoming dance. Fucking model citizens. And it's hinted that obviously he probably knew that they were close to Dumbledore, so that aligns them with a side that's not his, not Voldemort's. And of course Hagrid has no idea why Voldemort turned up in Godric's Hollow, which is where Harry was born and raised for the first less than a year of his life. So Hagrid can't give him all the information, that's another big time theme throughout this thing, is that like Harry is revealed pieces of information in like the slowest, creepiest crawl ever. And we're led to believe in some cases, and maybe in some cases it's actually true, that he discovers them genuinely on his own. I do think that to a certain degree Dumbledore is laying down breadcrumbs. It's a combination, though. Harry's not stupid. He's just, he's a little slow. But again, he's working from nothing. Like, it's all, like, his whole life is like a a big mystery puzzle. Like he's having to fit all the bits together and make things make sense. And it turns out that Rowling put together a pretty nice little puzzle for the end. I like it anyway. Clearly, obviously, Brandon. Obviously. Right. We are moving along where we are. And yeah, even as Hagrid's trying to tell the story about what happened, Hagrid gets emotional, which I can, I feel you, Hagrid. But he's like, they were just, he loved Lily and James, and he's obviously very sad about their murder. So yeah, and then that's when he has to explain the mystery about, well, after he killed your mom and dad, tried to kill you. Didn't work out. And that's when he went away. And nobody really still knows. And so, yeah, but that's when things started to change. It's like when the tower at Barad-dûr fell, like, and all of a sudden the orcs just scattered and ran. Like, everybody who'd been under his control, like, came back to, or like if they were dead in the first place, which he did have in Fury Eye. We have reanimated dead everywhere. We have it in Game of Thrones too, obviously. Yeah. Anyway, so things come back, and then Hagrid's like, "Yep, took you from the house myself, on Dumbledore's orders, brought you to this lot." And Uncle Vernon attempts to be dismissive, as though that's actually gonna work somehow. Yeah. And that's when he can't fully deny it anymore, but he's like, and boy, and he even goes so far as to say that the world's probably better off without his parents. Not probably, he just says they are, and there's no probably in that sentence. And he's just going on, and now he's kind of having his angry rant about like how he's the emotions he's been basically pissed off about for the last 10 years, 11 years, 10 and a half years, time. But then Hagrid's kind of had enough. Like, he's like, you kept everything from Harry, and now you're going to try and belittle him in front of me? Nah. Nope. Not going to do it. Nah, it wouldn't be prudent. And, hey, don't do it, buddy. And all the while brandishing a pink umbrella, which is, beautiful contrast to the size and imposing figure of Hagrid is his little pink umbrella, which we know conceals the two probably mended halves of his broken wand. Because let's not forget that the Elder Wand that Dumbledore's had this whole fucking time. That's right, spoiler alert, Elder Wand. If it can repair Harry's wand at the end, it could repair Hagrid's wand, like, before this story started. It's just hidden. It's not the two broken halves, I don't think, because it wouldn't work right. That's not, I mean, we learned that. We learned that very specifically. When Harry tries to mend his wand and it looks mended, and he tries to use it, that shit feebly does something and then breaks apart again. So yeah, Hagrid's full wand mended beyond any notice of being broken in the first place, totally in that pink umbrella. Hashtag confirmed, because I just logicked it out. That's right. Anyway, brandishing his pink umbrella, he's like, "I'm warning you, buddy. Shut the fuck up." And Vernon's courage failed him again. And that's when Hagrid's like, "Yep, that's what I thought." And Harry's like, "But what happened to, you know who?" And that's, Hagrid's like, "Yep, disappeared. Don't know what happened. Biggest mystery." One thing I love about Rowling's writing for Hagrid is she really does put all the apostrophes in the right places. It makes it easier to like fake the accent even if you can't, just because if you pronounce it the way it's printed, it's great. Anyway, and you get words like codswallop. But even Hagrid, and this is interesting because one of the things that we learn later is that Hagrid actually has a relationship with Voldemort, pre-Voldemort, that most people in our story do not have, because Hagrid's a little bit older than most of the people who are the grown-ups or the adults in this story. Not obviously not Dumbledore and McGonagall are like a whole like couple generations beyond those people, but I'm talking about like Mr. and Mrs. Weasley and like Lovegood, Xenophilius, and like just a fair number of like Tonks is younger, but and then Lupin and Sirius, and like they're all like sort of like in my mind sort of the baby boomers of this story, and Hagrid's like an older boomer kind of, or something like that. Like he's like a half generation above them, sort of. So he didn't go to school with them. He went to school with Tom Riddle. And so, anyway, like, even though sometimes Hagrid's thinking seems very simple about certain things, it's interesting that, like, when Harry's like, so what happened to Voldemort? Did he die? And, Hagrid's like, I don't know if he was human enough left to, like, even die. Like, even Hagrid has his suspicions, and I don't think that's from Dumbledore telling him anything. I mean, that's possible, but I kind of think that, Hagrid probably had some intuitions about Voldemort because he knew what lengths he would go to when he was still a student at Hogwarts. And he's also the reason why Hagrid got that wand broken in the first fucking place. So, yeah, there's interesting ties there. And I always, like, try to remember that as the story goes on, because it's like sometimes you just kind of get caught up in the idea that Hagrid's just sort of like a character who's like between comic relief and like just the closest thing to like a almost big brother / father, not really father, but like parent-ish figure for Harry. And he's one of the only ones that, well, yeah. Anyway, yeah, Hagrid. But I mean, I guess, okay, so then he does say that other people imagine that he might still be out there too with his powers lost, but I don't know. Like I said, he first speaks on his own thoughts about it, and he said, I don't think he's, I think he's still out there somewhere, biding his time. But, yeah, so, Harry caused him to break, and nobody really knows why to this day. And Harry's still, like, well, not just still, but, like, even after all this story, he's like, a wizard? And he's about talked himself out of it, actually, which is kind of funny. And he's, like, says that to Hagrid. He's like, I think there must be a mistake. Like, I don't... And Hagrid laughs, of course, because he knows. Then he's like, yeah, nothing. So you're saying never in your life, no funny business, nothing that you couldn't explain ever happened. And Harry's like, right, in that last chapter we totally talked about when like a lot of weird shit happened, like my hair and like the sweater that shrunk, and yeah, okay, you're right. And then there was the glass at the zoo. Okay, case, good points, Hagrid. Good points you make. And oh, that stuff was actually in the text. Damn it, that's good. That's good, Brandon. I wasn't looking at the page when I said that last part. And that's why Hagrid's like, yeah, see, you're a wizard. You're a wizard, Harry. And that's when Vernon's like, I thought I'd said that he wasn't going, and that's, Hagrid's still like, you're not going to stop him. Like, quit pretending like you could stop this situation from happening with me here. And Hagrid gets on his little rant about what it's going to be like for Harry to be in his own world, and he won't even know himself, and blah, 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 blah. He's going to be taught by Dumbledore, and that's when Vernon's like, I'm not paying for some crackpot old fool to teach him magic tricks. And that's... You could say a lot of things to Hagrid, and some of them clearly have already pissed him off. But if you insult Dumbledore in front of Hagrid, I mean, Vernon's just the first person we see in the story suffer something from that. But, and we get one of those so angry that every word has a hyphen in between it, and they're still all in caps. So yeah, never insult Albus Dumbledore in front of me. I'm not going to go there right now, but yeah. You done had pissed Hagrid off. Big time. And, swish an umbrella coming through the air, and Dudley gets a pig's tail, which is pretty fucking hilarious. Especially because Hagrid will tell us later that he tried to turn him into a pig, and all that happened is that he got a tail. Because the Dudley pig jokes never stop. I don't think ever in any book. Don't think so, and they really shouldn't. Actually, I approve this message. And so, yeah. Time for Hagrid to take Harry to go get his stuff for school, because he's got a list, and he needs to buy those things. He needs to check it twice. And yeah, Hagrid makes an allusion to the fact that he's not really technically supposed to be doing magic. So if you could just kind of keep that shit on the DL, that'd be cool. I appreciate that. Since I did just kind of yell at your uncle for you, and I'm taking you to magic school, so just you can keep quiet about the one thing, right? Harry's like, yeah, all good, bro, all good. I got you. Oh wait, they're not leaving yet. I'm sorry, I forgot. It's the middle of the night. They're going to bed. Right. And Hagrid gives him his giant jacket to sleep under. And then that's when the chapter ends. There's a mention that there might be some dormice in one of the pockets of the jacket, so if the jacket wriggles a little bit, you're good. Don't trip. So yeah, as you can tell by the fact that I kind of almost overreached into the next chapter, the next chapter continues where this one leaves off, but that's where we'll conclude this episode. Thank you for listening to episode number 4, el número 4. And we'll catch you next time, whenever that might be. It could be very soon. Well, we don't know. There's a hurricane coming, so I don't know. I might just slide another one in after this. We'll see. We shall see. But peace.